Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel entitled Apostate Vic. So, I very strongly feel that my Jehovah's Witness mother and my Jehovah's Witness brother are living a double life in the eyes of the Watchtowers organization. Now, I of course want to let you know my mom or my brother, from what I understand, they're not doing drugs, they're not drug dealing, they're not alcoholics, they're not prostitutes, they're not gay or bisexual or pot smokers. That's not what I'm referring to as my mom and my brother living a double life. They are living a double life as active Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'm going to cut it all down and let you know what's been going on between now and the last many years. So today is October 23rd of year 2019, and a couple of days ago I just reached my 15th year. It's only 2 days ago, October the 21st, when I told my mother that I no longer want to be a Jehovah's Witness. So now, to start this video, and I'm sure many of you know this, if you are a Jehovah's Witness now, or if you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness, or maybe you've never been a Jehovah's Witness, but you just looked into the history of their religion. Since 1981 until now, the Watchtowers organization have continuously remind all active baptized Jehovah's Witnesses, and that of course includes me, throughout all of the 1980s, all of the 1990s, and until year 2004, I, and as active Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide, that you must avoid all communication with anyone who's disfellowshipped or disassociated. And of course, I'm not going to go into the history of their shunning videos. I've done it already. Of course, you know, in 1947, January the 8th Awake article, they did a comparison of the teachings of excommunication in the Catholicism, and it said very clearly in their own Awake article that practicing excommunication in the eyes of Catholicism was not biblical, spiritual, and it was pagan. Interestingly, 5 years later, they changed that, and now suddenly it's biblical. But again, I'm not talking about their shunning policy. What I'm talking is, throughout my childhood as a Jehovah's Witness, we had that constant fear that you should have no communication whatsoever, except for emergency, like someone passed away, that you should have nothing to do with those who are disfellowshipped. You know, I've seen it even when I was a Jehovah's Witness, when you would go to our yearly district assemblies, and there'll be a sister or a brother, or it could be both, coming on stage, and they will do a little talk on how my son or my daughter was disfellowshipped, and how I wanted to so much to call them to see how they're doing, but I knew that if I want to be loyal to the Watchtower's organization, also known as Jehovah's organization, that you must avoid them. And I know they never use that word shunning, but it's no different from using the word shunning or avoiding them. So that fear was drilled in my head. That fear to all you Jehovah's Witnesses to this day, and especially in 2019. If you even say hello to them, meaning if you're maybe at Walmart and you see so-and-so who's disfellowshipped or disassociated, if you went to them and said, "Oh, hi, so-and-so," then they make you think that Jehovah is not pleased with that, and you're not going to have much of a chance to be in this so-called new system when Armageddon comes. So we all had that fear like they are now. Now, I can give you a good example. 2 months ago when I went to my grandfather's memorial service at the Kingdom Hall, and all the Jehovah's Witness relatives acknowledged me, including my brother. But my niece and nephew, who I've never met, didn't acknowledge me once. My half-brother and half-sister didn't say not one word the moment I walked in that Kingdom Hall to the moment I left. So they are being drilled as young children, just like I did in the late 70s into the early 80s. They're all being puppet trained to have nothing to do with them. So now, going back to my mom and my brother on living a double life. You know, it's interesting that, and I know that my mom, maybe they think I'm that stupid because I'm not a Jehovah's Witness and I don't go to their meetings anymore. Maybe they think that I'm that stupid and think that I don't know about the constant reminders that they're still doing in 2019. You know what? Let me tell you a clue. I do know. I know this religion keeps reminding yourselves, shun, shun, shun. Again, they won't use that word, shunning, but that's what that means. Have no communication with them. So what I'm doing now is, I want to give you a really good example of myself. And I'm going to try not to make this a long story about this experience that I had to deal with. So, back in year 2002, maybe the late year 2003, I started a new job. I was still an active Jehovah's Witness. Of course, I was going to the same congregation as my aunt and my cousin. Long story short, I stopped going to the meetings because of my job. Now, of course, again, this is back in year 2003-ish, around that area. Now, back in year 2003, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, none of that existed. Social media was non-existent back then. So when I was missing meetings, which was more than a year back then, I got involved with hanging out with a coworker who was openly gay. Him and I, many times after we would be finishing work, him and I would go to a local gay bar, just having an after-work cocktail. I also got really involved, because back then, in 2003, Blockbuster was real popular. And I used to go over to Blockbuster and spend hours searching for movies, searching and secretly renting R-rated movies, which I'm sure you know, Jehovah's Witnesses are forbidden to watch any forms of R-rated movies, including the 1979 Bernadette Peters, Steve Martin, The Jerk. So I hid that. I used to spend there hours looking around at Blockbuster, seeing if there's any Jehovah's Witnesses there, so I could rent these R-rated movies. I also, at that time, in year 2003, I was hanging out with another ex-employee who was worldly, a Baptist, and we used to go to Elks Lodge. I actually became an Elks Lodge social media club, which is, of course, very against the teachings of the Watchtowers organization. We used to spend on Friday nights with me and that other coworker till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning bar hopping, getting cocktailed and drunk. So when I lost that job in year 2004, of course, my mom told me that the best thing to do is go back to your old congregation and be with your aunt, which is my mom's sister, and my cousin. And of course, I was very well known in that old congregation. Brother Donner was my favorite elder, loved his wife, loved his wife's sister, Mary. There were a lot of good Jehovah's Witnesses that I belonged to. Sister Senko, you know what? She used to tell me that she knew me since I was born. Rest her soul. Brother and sister Rothpletz, they also knew me since I was born. Of course, they're dead now. Sister Winters, Etna, she used to also say the same thing. Oh yeah, I know Victor since he was born. So I went back to the meetings, exactly what my mom wanted me to do. So after I started going back to my old congregation, within weeks, my mom informed me that I need to clear my conscience and talk to the elders and tell them what I was doing. So of course, I was not an active Jehovah's Witness when I was doing these things. And I told my mom that, and she said, I don't care, Vic, you still need to do it. Do it! So I rolled my eyes, I said, fine, I'll do it. So the very next week, my mom contacted me again, and she asked me, Vic, did you talk to the elders yet? And I shook my head and I said, no, I haven't. She then told me that you better talk to those elders soon, because if you don't do it, then I'll do it. And I guarantee you this, Vic, if I have to talk to those elders about what you were doing wrong, those elders will disfellowship you. So of course I had to talk to the elders, because I knew if I got disfellowshipped, I'll be shunned. My mom will have to shun me. My aunts, my uncles, my cousins, they would all have to shun me. So I did it. And of course, I'm not going to go into details what I said to the elders. I told them what I already told you in this video about going to gay bars with a coworker, watching R-rated movies, being an Elks Lodge member, getting intoxicated with this coworker. And after I confessed to these elders, the elders, of course, told me that I had to leave for a moment so the elders could, their decision of what they're going to do with me with my disciplinary action. And when they pulled me back in to tell me what was going to happen, they had 3 options what they're going to do to me. Number 1, they would, which is most common, disfellowship me. Then I'll be shunned. They'll make a big public announcement in the congregation. 2, they would public approve me, but they would also make a public announcement in the congregation, and they won't say what I did wrong. They'll just say that Brother Hernandez has been public approved. Basically, the elders did their job, disciplinary action, now he's on a notice. Or 3, private approved, which of course, private approved is basically, it's only between the elders and I. And no one else would know about it. So the decision the elders made was number 3, private approved me. Now let me tell you, when they private approved me in year 2004, or now almost in year 2020, social media was not there yet. there was no Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. So when they private approved me, none of my Jehovah's Witnesses knew what I did wrong, including my aunt or my cousin. And those elders, when they disciplined me privately, they did say, do not tell any of the Jehovah's Witnesses of what happened between the elders and I. Of course, I did ask them, can I talk to my mother? She said, yes, your mother, of course, your father, of course. That's it. So, the meeting ended. I, of course, continued to go to the meetings. All these Jehovah's Witnesses thought I was just this loving, active Jehovah's Witness, and now I'm back into the truth. I'm going back to the meetings. Now, let me tell you, if back in year 2004, if there was already Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, internet, and say I already posted on Facebook that I was hanging out with a coworker who's gay and we went to gay bars, and say I did check-ins at Blockbuster and I rented The Jerk and Private Benjamin and Flashdance, or the original 1980 Fame with a lot of F words in it, or maybe one of my favorite, Rain Man, and I posted it all on that social media, and then year 2004 comes along and I confess to these elders, and all these Jehovah's already knew what I was doing wrong, I guarantee you this, those elders would not reprimand me privately. And I could almost guarantee they probably wouldn't even public approve me of my disciplinary action. They would almost likely disfellowship me, because of course all the Jehovah's Witnesses know when I started going back to the meetings in year 2004 that, oh, Brother Hernandez, he's going back to the meetings, and we saw on social media that he was hanging out with a worldly person who's a homosexual. He'd been gone to gay bars. He'd been watching R-rated movies. He's going to Elks Lodge. He was an Elks Lodge member and getting intoxicated. Oh, Lord. And those Jehovah's Witnesses, when I started going back to meetings, they would not show that utmost love to me. They'll be looking at me like, ooh, bad association. That's what he is. Now, I'm now going to go to about my brother and my mom, who are supposedly active Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, my mom lives in Colorado now. And let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you exactly, I know for a fact. I'm going to tell you what these Jehovah's Witnesses in my mom's congregation, along with my brother's congregation in Phoenix, are thinking about their children. First of all, they're looking at my brother and saying, oh, there. Brother Hernandez is an active Jehovah's Witnesses. He goes to all the meetings. He goes in field service. He might be doing cart standing and cart sitting, and he comments regularly at the Watchtower meetings and studies the Watchtower literature. Oh, there, and he teaches his children, okay, children, time to study today's Watchtower magazine. Okay, brother, okay, time to go ready for the meeting. Okay, children, time to go in field service. There. And then the Jehovah's Witnesses think of me. Oh, yeah, Sister Hallquist, that's my mom. Oh, her oldest son, Victor, he's no longer a Jehovah's Witness. Oh my goodness, he even disassociated himself, basically saying he no longer wants to be a Jehovah's Witness. Oh, and he's also a homosexual. He's gay. Oh, and I've heard that he's done many YouTube videos degrading the history of the Watchtowers organization. Oh, he's an apostate. Oh, he's a mentally diseased apostate, which the Jehovah's Witnesses use, both. And of course, most importantly, all these Jehovah's Witnesses in my mom's congregation think that she has nothing to do with me, except for emergencies. Now, let me give you a really good example to prove my mom is wrong. So in year 2015, now keep in mind, I disassociated myself in year 2012. So in year 2015, I was no longer a Jehovah's Witness and disassociated for 3 years. And of course, my mom went to visit me. We had lunch. And I told her I didn't have a lot of time to visit because I had to go to work, because I was a part-time dispatcher and a part-time commercial driver. So my mom looked and said, "No problem, Vic, we'll have lunch and I'll take you to work." So I said, "Great." So we had lunch, and then she was on her way to drop me off to work. Now, when she was on her way to take me to work, I told her that you should come into my job where I work at, show her where I dispatch, the office, and of course I was going to show her our kind of buses we drive. And you know what my mom told me? She told me, and I quote, that I don't feel comfortable to do that. Now, you want to know why she said that? Now, she could have told me, "Oh, I'm sorry, Vic, I have a doctor's appointment. I'm sorry, Vic, I have to go meet so-and-so, so-and-so. I have to go see my sister, her parents, which are my grandparents, whatever." No, she used the word, "I don't feel comfortable." And you know why she didn't feel comfortable and why she said that to me? Because she knew, and I've already told her back then, that there was an active Jehovah's Witness who's a dispatcher in the office that goes to the same congregation as her sister, or the same congregation as my aunt. And she knew that if she walked in that office where I dispatch and that Jehovah's Witness saw her with me, that Jehovah's Witness would so quickly either A, tell the elders, or B, go tell my mom's sister, who is a very active Jehovah's Witness. And then after he told her sister, she would tell her husband, which would be my mom's brother-in-law, who's an elder, of what they witnessed. And I guarantee you this, they would probably contact the elders in my mom's congregation, and then those elders in my mom's congregation would discipline her, and most importantly, they would probably disfellowship her. So she was afraid. But now, at the same time, over the many years, including the last 2 months when I contacted her, my mom still wants me to think that it's Jehovah's Witnesses' choice if they want to associate with someone who's disassociated or disfellowshipped. Now that's a lie. What did I tell you earlier in this video? I was drilled. All of us Jehovah's Witnesses, until now in 2019, almost in 2020, we are to this day drilled constant reminders. Right now, just like last year, 2018, 2017, 2016, they constantly publish Watchtower literature. They do constant public talks on Sunday meetings or Thursday meetings. And of course, constant assembly parts on how, if you want to live in this paradise on earth forever like Adam and Eve, you must avoid all communication with those who are disfellowshipped. You know, they give constant demonstrations on their assemblies, and the Jehovah's Witnesses think that we don't know about it. Sweetie, they're filming these videos. They're filming these demonstrations at their assemblies on how there'll be a sister in the congregation who says that her son or her daughter was disfellowshipped, and how they wanted to so many times to call their disfellowshipped relative to see how they're doing, but they knew that they can't do it. To stay loyal to the Watchtower's organization. And if you just keep following their loyalty to the Watchtower's organization of shunning them, that they one day will realize that it's a loving provision to shun them, and they will come back into the truth, which is being a follower of the Watchtower. Again, the last 30 years, or close to 30 years, not once did they ever teach the Watchtower's organization that it's your choice if you want to associate with someone. And you know what? I don't have it with me right now, but you're welcome to look it up, and maybe I'll do a video about it. There is a 2019 revised Shepherding of the Flock of God book. You know, that book, Shepherding the Flock of God book, that's a book for the eyes and the eyes only of Jehovah's Witness elders. No Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to touch that book, Shepherding the Flock, unless you're an elder. But you know what? I have a digital copy. And it very clearly, like I've done for you all along, that you should have no dealing whatsoever if someone disfellowshipped. They even say that if a Jehovah's Witness, if a baptized Jehovah's Witness has an unrelated